You got some bananas.
I did get some bananas. You saw that.
Uh-huh.
Got some bananas. Got some apples. Got some
Did
ice
you get
cream.
Honey Crisps?
No. You know why? Because I didn't like the look of them.
They looked at you wrong. They looked at you sideways.
They all had spots on them. Mm-hmm. And I didn't like the color. I
put apples on our shopping list today, and I was like, I'm going to get Honey Crisps. Because Greg said they were like candy.
It's a dessert. That thing is a dessert.
Yeah. I was telling Travis about it. I was like, because I think it's a little weird. I like it, but I thought it was a little weird. You're like, that's my little mission. I'm going to try all the apples. And so I was telling him about that. He's like, no, that makes sense. It's like, if you don't have like kids and all these other things distract you, you're like, I'm going to go through some apples and figure that out. Like he understood.
Yeah, what else do I have in my life? Even though I started the Apple mission before I lost my job.
Right. There was some comic that he saw where it was this family walking with a kid or whatever, and then there was this single guy, and he was like, well, they were in a park. He's like, I'm going to follow this goose around for an hour.
Yeah, see where it goes. That's interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
See how it lives its life.
Yeah, what's it doing? Where's that goose going?
There was some kind of tracking device put on an eagle in Russia, and it died years and years later, and then they mapped where it flew its whole life.
That's so cool. I want to see that.
I'll find it. I'll look at it. I'll pull it up right now to show you the map quickly. You can look into it in depth later.
Okay.
Eagle. Look, this is.
Wow.
It's been and it wouldn't fly over the water. Look at this. It avoided the water. It didn't want to fly across. Had quite the life.
Wow, it really traveled a long way.
Yeah, then there was a picture in a different article I saw of it dead. They found it because it had the tracker, and they found its dead body.
Why did it die? It was just dead.
It was old age.
Yeah.
They tagged it a long time ago.
Welcome to One Topic, where we try to stick to one topic. My name is Autumn Fisher.
And my name is Greg Russ.
And this is the delayed version of the recording that we were going to do when we were together in New York City. We were in the same room. We were in the same town.
But we only had...
Yeah, everything but the microphone.
One microphone.
Yep.
Yeah, way to go. Real professional operation we run here. We had two microphones. One of them wasn't working.
Right.
So instead, we just ate bodega sandwiches and watched Hoarders.
Which was perfectly fine.
Yeah, it's not a bad day. But, it would have been nice to do the show in the same room for once. We've only done that the very first episode.
Mm-hmm. And that one wasn't grounded in anything. That was just us just trying to figure out what to do and how to be.
Yeah, just getting started.
Mm-hmm.
So now that we're established and we've got our rhythm down, it would have been a good thing. But one day, maybe that'll happen.
So today, speaking of being in, like, you kind of hosted me. I didn't stay at your house, but you stayed all day with me on Saturday, and we hung out on the next day on Sunday, and so I was kind of your guest.
Which has led to this week's topic, right?
Yes, which is guests. Being a guest, having guests, and not just like we're having friends over and you're hosting them for like a dinner or something. It's like having someone stay at your house.
Starting with probably out-of-town guests. Yeah. Sometimes people who live close to, I guess, would stay over. But people come over, and that opens up, I think, a topic that's worth discussing. We're not going to sit here and talk about just our visit. When we were planning this, I was like, is that too self-indulgent? And it's like, no, then Autumn and I took a bus. Then we had a bagel. It's like, no, that's not what's going to happen. So don't worry about that.
We did sit and people watch under the Brooklyn Bridge. Near the Brooklyn Bridge, right? Wasn't that the Brooklyn Bridge?
Yeah, we were closer to the Manhattan Bridge. See, we're doing it.
Uh-oh.
We sat under the Manhattan Bridge looking at the Brooklyn Bridge and made fun of every person we saw and then had a whole discussion. That could be another topic, judging.
Yeah.
So I told you, every person who walks by, we have some comment about them.
We did.
And at that point, I say, now you see why I am, so... I neurotic, really, is what it boils down to. Because I cannot live my life in any way that would give anyone else any ammunition to make fun of me. It's no way to live. But I know, I was like, well, if I'm judging, surely everyone else is. So I can't give them an inch.
Exactly. No, I get it. I don't mind giving them the inch. I don't mind if someone sees something and talks about it. That's the other. So I'm not the neurotic part, but I am the like very judgy part. But judgy, not like you wouldn't. We can't talk about this now. We have to save it for that episode.
Yeah, it's a different episode.
All right, maybe it'll be
This
the
is
next episode.
guests. So I think we can start with this, unless you have a starting point. Obviously, if you're having someone come stay over with you, it goes one of two ways: someone you want to have visit, or someone you don't want to have visit.
Yeah, or if it turns, like I think that Benjamin Franklin has a quote about house guests are like fish. After 3 days, they start to stink.
Well, yes, and that makes sense.
You don't want to stay too long someplace.
No, some people may stay too long in one place. But it also depends on what kind of guest you are at that point when you're staying with the person. These are all things that we can get into.
Mm-hmm.
But, me as a person who lives alone, I don't really have guests who, you didn't stay with me, but sometimes people do stay with me. I don't have guests who I don't want around. So I don't have to deal with that too often. But I know there's guests when you're in a family situation. Quite often the in-laws, people that I hate which is that... I'm sure some people dislike their in-laws. Some people dislike their own parents. But it's been established that the in-laws, the worst guest you could ever have. Unbelievable. Right. I would hope that if I ever have in-laws, I will like my in-laws, and that wouldn't be an awful thing. But I think that's an example of a guest that possibly could come over. No. Why is this happening?
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, an in-law has the potential to be very judgy and protective of their kid. Right? And so if you're the husband or the wife of the kid of the in-law, does that make sense? Then you could definitely feel like you're under a microscope.
Hypothetical, Autumn. Not actual experience, hypothetical. You have any experience in this hypothetical world with in-laws hanging out of the house? Is this a path we shouldn't head down?
No, that's fine. I have not had any negative experiences with my in-laws. So Travis's mom, hypothetically, no, in real life, doesn't. I don't think she loves the way sometimes that we handle Ellie. Like we just have a little bit more of a lenient idea of how she should behave, and I think that Travis's mom has a little bit of a rose-colored glasses look back on how she handled the kids or how her kids behaved. Just you kind of forget about the things that your kids did, and so you expect kids that were the same age as your kids back then to act a certain way, and you kind of forget that they don't have the ability to, or what you were going through when they were that age. But and if we ask her something, she'll sort of unload on you and tell you a bunch of stuff that she thinks about the way that things should be handled, because I think she wants to tell us but is holding back. So once we give her the opening, she really lets us know, and not like in a bad way. She doesn't say like you're doing it wrong or whatever, but she was like, she'll give examples of ways that things could be done differently, and you're like, oh okay. And when that's happening, sometimes I'm like, oh, you must have really thought that we weren't doing the right thing.
Yeah, she knows better. I've been there. Yeah. I did that. Look at this wonderful man that you decided to marry. That means I really did it perfectly.
Yeah.
That little kid of yours, she's never going to get any man to fall for her with the way you're bringing her up.
But she does, and then with my parents, I love my parents. And being on the medicine I take, like Zoloft, has really helped me, because I think that I have a funny relationship with my mom, and she knows that. We have maybe it's just a mother-daughter thing. I'm real hard on her sometimes. Like I kind of turn into a parent sometimes with her. Not like she misbehaves or anything, nothing like that. It's more like, just, I don't know, I'm just hard on her. And she's told me I'm hard on her. And I don't mean to do that, but we just slip into those weird roles when we're together. And it happens less now that I've started taking this medicine. So it probably was some sort of just way I was brought up with her, and maybe a control thing that I have. And
when she comes into your space.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So is there a specific example you can think of? Something that would set you off and you would think, hey, what the hell's going on?
It's more about, I would feel like I have the ability to control her emotions. And so I would slip into that old dynamic where I would be feeling like I was responsible for her emotional state, and I'm not, but I would that would always be running in my head somewhere, and it would be taking up space, and I would be resenting her for that. And she's not making me do that. Maybe it was some weird byproduct or coping mechanism from growing up and the way that she used to be. She was real anal retentive and a lot more anxious than she is now, and she's changed a lot. But maybe when I was growing up, it made me turn into the person I am. And but the remnants of that are still there when we're around each other sometimes. So
didn't they just stay with you, your parents?
I think so. When was that? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was fine. It's really changed since I've been on that medicine. Sorry, I still have that cough, so my throat is really
let it out.
Well, it feels like there's like a dry spot in it, you know?
Yeah, that'll be another topic one day, dry spots and throats. And tickle in the throat. What do you do? Especially when you're in public and you really need to hack it up, but you don't want people staring at you.
Tips and tricks for dry spots and throats.
We'll explore on this episode of One Topic.
But, and that being, I mean, me and my mom's relationship is very open and we're very honest with each other. So we know that we do this. And that's all I can ask for is like, at least we can be honest about what's going on. And we really do care about each other. So anytime we slip into this weirdness, it doesn't like fester and get weird. And it just, sometimes we talk about it. Sometimes one of us tries to change, like shift the dynamic real time. But like I said, that medicine has really helped. So it's not as bad, but that's like the worst type of sort of, I don't think I've had too many experiences with guests that I've been annoyed are still there, you know?
Yeah, see,
I don't think I've had many friends. Like, I don't have a lot of friends that stay over, I don't think.
I don't either, but partly that's because of the size of my apartment. When you live in New York, it's like I've got the couch. I didn't even have the couch before. In my other apartment, it was a studio, and there was nowhere else for anyone to sleep. I guess I had an oversized chair with an ottoman that could be that could serve as a place to sleep, but it was no place anyone wanted to stay for any extended period. So, that kind of gets me out of hanging out, hosting people quite often. Though there are times in certain people who come to New York, and if they're alone, I'm like, sure, you can sleep on the couch. And they've stayed 3-4 days, and I'm fine with that. And it's mostly because I give people a set of keys. I was like, do your thing. We'll hang out. Of course, we're going to hang out, but I've got stuff to do as long as I can continue to live my life for the most part. If it's extended, but I like having the person around. So, yeah, and I think I gave you that offer. I was like, I'll give you a set of keys, and you can do whatever it is you want to do. My parents, my mom did want to come up recently, and she wanted to stay. And I said, no, you should get a hotel. And that didn't go.
Why did you say that?
Because I don't feel like my mom would be comfortable going out alone. I don't know if she'd be able to navigate and figure out the trains with me being in Brooklyn. And I said, just get a hotel, then we'll hang out. We'll meet up. I'll make sure that happens. But that's her coming alone. There's been times when she comes with my sisters and my dad, and they do actually stay elsewhere. Or there was times before I gave them my apartment and I stayed with my girlfriend at the time. You just give up your whole apartment, which is another thing that happens here. Sometimes when you have guests, if you have another place to stay, and the person's looking for a place they don't have any money, like, yeah, just take my apartment. And I do that quite often. That
makes sense, especially when they're small and you have other people. Like, maybe there's less. Actually, I was going to say maybe there's less chance for two people moving in with each other because of space and money. Because just because you spend more doesn't necessarily mean you get a bigger space. Or you don't get that much more space.
Well, that's a big driving force behind people actually moving in together. Who are dating? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
who are together in a relationship? Yeah, because you can get a somewhat bigger apartment, but then you can split the outrageous cost, and then not all of them, but people jump to that because they see the window to save some money, and then the relationship can't handle it.
To me, it seems like you have a bigger space living separately than pooling your money and only living somewhere slightly bigger.
That's true, but you save money. Is ultimately what happens.
Oh, I see.
Because you split the cost. And plenty of people I know that didn't go over so well.
No.
And there's always a part of me that's like, because I've had to deal with crap. Like, well, you've never lived with anyone you dated. Why? Oh, you should. What's wrong with you? And maybe there is something wrong with me. And then I've explored this, and I think we've even talked about it somewhat on the show before, how I'm protective of my space. But when people rush into it, like, this is the smart thing to do. We're being smart. It's like, it's not smart at all. You're doing it for financial reasons. Then falls apart.
Yeah.
I'm a nasty person. I mean, I love watching when people, well, I shouldn't say this. Never mind, because I was in a relationship like this. But I would say when they first meet someone, they're all wrapped up in it. And like, this is it. This is going to be the one. This is, wow. And then it doesn't work out. But then I fell
But
victim.
don't you feel that way every time you're with someone new and you're excited about them?
Well,
I feel like
there's a level of excitement, but, and we're getting off topic now.
Oh, no. Tie it back.
No, it's all right. I mean, there's a level of excitement, but there was once when it was like more than that. It's like, this, I know this is it. Oh, no, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
I wasn't able to handle that. So
You weren't able to handle that?
well, maybe many people weren't able to handle that. Anyway,
I don't think it was you.
There's nothing to do with any of this that we're supposed to be talking about today on this episode of One Topic. Today's topic is guests.
Yeah, so I think that I might have more strange or negative or positive sort of guest experiences if I had places that I could host more guests, because I think the majority of my experience is with my parents or with family. And so that's a little bit different because you already have this sort of established dynamic between you guys. And so, and sort of a shorthand, and it's like, it's weird because you're the kid, but you're the adult now and whatever. So because I've never really lived in a place that's had a guest room or a proper place to put someone. So now where we live, we have a extra bedroom, which I'm in, and the bed is covered in things. So it is in no shape for any guest right now, but we have a place for people to go if they want to stay here. So that is very exciting, and I'm very excited about that. I have, I have things in here that are for guests. I think about if we have a guest come and what they might need, and I have a special, area for them in the downstairs shower that has, Q-tips and shampoo and things for them because I want to be a good host, Yeah,
that's all very thoughtful. And there's times that we've discussed, I was like, I should come visit you there. And it makes me feel bad now because I feel like this is what I like to do. The opposite side of having guests is sometimes you are the guest. And I like to stay in a hotel or in my own space. And there's a couple reasons for that. I don't want to feel like I'm imposing. But in this situation, you've got this set up and you're wanting it. But it's still, there's a pressure, at least with me, traveling, and I would hope other people who are staying with someone else, that there is some kind of thoughtfulness. I take it probably to some extreme, but there's a thoughtfulness about you being in another person's place and what that means and how you should act. But now I feel like if I came there, I was like, oh no, I'm going to visit you, we're going to hang up, I'm going to stay over here, then it would hurt your feelings because those Q-tips wouldn't get used.
I bought those Q-tips for your ears.
They're there, and I want somebody to use them. I bought them in bulk. Then you open up the closet, and there's a Costco 25-pound bag of Q-tips.
Because I thought I would have so many guests. I haven't had any. I've been using the Q-tip.
So no one else has come to visit you? None of your friends?
Well, when we were in Laurel, we didn't have the space to keep someone, but we have a couch that it's like an IKEA thing. It doesn't pull out into a bed. It it's like this underneath trundle thing that you pull up and and the couch turns into a bed. And so we had that, and we had people come visit us then. But I think since was Anna here? No, I don't think my friends have seen the new house.
Well, that's rude. That's just outrageous to me.
They have lives.
Well, come on. Everyone's got lives, but I think it's important.
I don't think I'm real forgetful about this, and I feel like someone's listening. And they're like, "I was there."
Well, then they can tell you that they were there, and you can add it onto the Facebook page or something. It's like, hey, no, my friend actually was here, and I'm sorry that I said nobody came to visit me and accused you of all of being the worst human beings in existence.
That was Greg's voice, not mine.
Not fostering the friendship at all. It's important. Sometimes when people live in different cities, it is important to make an effort to see them. And yes, it can't be done that. It can't be done that often because people do have their own lives and traveling is stressful.
Yeah.
But you got to make the effort at some point.
Well, they've come up and seen us and they visited, but just not since we've been in the new house. So that's just since June.
Okay.
So it's not too crazy.
All right. I'm done judging them.
All right, good. They've been here and I've been there. You haven't ever come to see me in Maryland.
That's true. I have not come to see you in Maryland. What would we do if I came to see you in Maryland? That's another part of this.
Yeah.
Is the entertaining, because well, think about that for a second. So I'm just going to set this up. When people come to New York, there's this thing where people who live here like to show off the city. So when you were here Saturday, we spent all day together, and I enjoyed every minute of it. And I could have done that for a few more days. It gets tiring because you just walk so much.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much walking. I don't know, at some point, and this was only halfway through the day, we'd already walked 17,000 steps. I don't know how many miles that translates into, because one step isn't the same for every person. But, it does get tiring. But it's easy. Like, some of it's like, what are you going to do? I don't know. We'll just go outside. We can just wander around and come across things here. So that's another thing, because there's not pressure. I do feel like you wanted to see some of those Real Housewives sites, and we didn't make it to see those.
That's okay.
And I would have gladly gone.
Yeah.
Because
I think if I was there all day, like if we had another weekend or something, then we could have done that. But all those housewives places are really expensive. It's crazy,
We
They're all
could have
rich.
just looked at the outsides of them.
Yeah.
And the reason I would have been happy to do that, because there's a sense of pride of being like a Sherpa. People take, people up Mount Everest in here. I'll guide you through New York.
Right. And you did.
I don't need the maps. I know where we're going.
Yep. You knew where we needed clothes. And so you knew where to get clothes. You knew all the places. So
Like the Ghostbusters firehouse I showed you.
Yep. We saw the Ghostbusters firehouse. It was way too clean.
Well, they just renovated. That was the problem.
Why did they renovate it?
Because it's still an operational firehouse, and they've got to keep it up. And that movie at this point is, going on 40 years old. So
That's not important.
it was covered in scaffolding for a while, and you couldn't even see it.
Yeah.
And it was kind of disappointing it was clean, because there was a big reveal. I made you not look, and then I said, turn around. And then there it was, and it was clean. The
Yeah, it was really
firehouse.
clean.
So,
I didn't know really what I wanted it to look like until I saw it. And it was all I just thought was that it was too clean. You know what I mean? I didn't know I would think that I had an opinion about a building being too clean.
I know what you mean, but then I felt embarrassed a bit, and I was like, oh, I wish I had known it was clean. I would have never taken anyone here.
No, I liked it anyway.
I wouldn't have done it. But yeah, so then we walked down, Brooklyn Bridge Park and sat and looked at bridges, because they're beautiful bridges in New York.
Yeah.
Other cities, Atlanta, I like this idea. Now someone comes and visits, like, you just take them and you go sit along the connector and you look at the 17th Street Yellow Bridge. Like, there it is.
Look at it.
Let's just sit here and watch. It's not the same. So
It really isn't.
it makes it easy in New York, and it's also because I live here, I don't go to all these places so often either. So it's nice to get out. I'm like, oh yeah, this is where I live, and all this is around.
Yeah.
And then you tell yourself, I'm going to make an effort to do this more on my own, and then you don't. Because there are a lot of tourists, though. So people visit you.
Yes.
I'm not saying there's nothing around, and I know you're close to Baltimore and you're close to D.C., so those are possible things. But it seems like it's a bit more of an effort, and it would take quite a bit more planning.
Yes. And with the kids too, because the kids, at least they're changing, and so they're getting a little bit more resilient. Like they could skip a nap, and it's not, a punishment for us when they skip the nap. It's they can handle it a little bit more. So before, when people would visit, it would be very like, we got to plan around the kids' schedule. We can go somewhere in the morning, or we can go somewhere in the afternoon. We can't spend all day out. We need to we can't go to a place where the kids aren't going to have something to do, because that is just more work for us. Like you're working against having fun, even though it does seem like too indulgent with the kids. Like, oh, we have to do it for the kids, but really it's more of a punishment if you don't have something for them to do. So, I mean, it would be things like the zoo.
The National Zoo?
Yeah, we used to. I don't know if we still have it, but we had a membership, even though it's a free zoo. If you have a membership, then you can park for free, and you get free carousel rides.
Last time I was in the National Zoo, the elephants weren't on display. It was very disappointing.
Oh yeah.
Ended up walking there though, because my ex had moved to D.C. and I went to visit, and then we walked to the zoo.
Why'd you visit your ex?
I don't know. Just because it was over, but it was, of that processing period after the fact. I don't know, that separating, whatever.
Oh, man, write this down.
I don't know how to explain it.
Write these. What was the topic we said earlier that we should...
Tickle in the throat.
No, there was one after
I want to do
that.
a whole show on the tickle in the throat.
All right, I'm going to write it down. Tickle.
If we can pull something like that off, we'll have really made it.
All right, breakups. That's a good one. All right. Yeah, so, but now, we live really close to Annapolis, and we can get to beaches, which is fun. So I would take people to a beach.
Those beautiful Atlantic beaches.
Yeah. They're the bay.
Ugh.
Like you can't go there like 2 days after it's rained, or you'll get, I don't know, E. coli poisoning. I don't know.
Yeah, what a fun. Hey, we can't go to the beach today.
Yeah, it rained last night, so it's not safe.
So we're just going to hang around here and go to the Home Depot.
The first time we went to the beach, I didn't know that. And we were like sort of playing in the water, and it was kind of rainy that day. And there were there were tons of those, what are those like dinosaur living fossil crab things?
Oh, like the horseshoe crabs.
Yes,
right?
horseshoe crabs. They were everywhere, and they were mating. And it was weird. And so we were like, and I was stopping Pete from running. He was at this weird age where he was just like, I'm going to kill myself everywhere. Like he was just running into the water. And Ellie was playing. They were trying to touch the sand crabs, and I was afraid of them a little bit because they're so big and weird. Mm-hmm. Anyway, the ocean's really close. Well, the kind of ocean, the bay. And then, there's a lot of crab.
Everything's just tying around crabs. Which is fine. It's the identity of Annapolis, I guess.
There's seafood, too.
Along with the Naval Academy, right?
Yeah, I don't know anything about it, though.
Well, that's what's there, I think, in crabs.
Naval, yeah. So, I mean, not that much. It's really more like living things. When we were in Laurel, I always imagined, this is so sad, I just always imagined there's this big field next to this playground. And I thought, like, if someone like Michelle or Anna would come and visit, then we would get Chipotle, and we would get like margaritas from there, and we would take the kids over to the playground, and they would play, and we would sit in the grass and eat Chipotle.
And that never manifested.
I don't know if it did or not. I really imagined it as like, this is my dream. I'll have a friend over and we'll eat Chipotle in the grass. Because what I want, when I was in Midtown with Travis, and we had
when you were in Midtown Atlanta.
Midtown Atlanta. I'm tickle.
And how do you get rid of the tickle when you got the tickle in your throat? What's the best means to alleviate?
People say bread. Somebody said bread.
Stale bread?
I don't know
if scratch that thing out of existence.
It's not really a tickle. It's just like a dry. Do you know what I'm talking about? When you're sick and you like, okay, this is not the right episode.
I take a wire grill brush when I swallow it whole, and I really just clean the inside of my windpipe.
I take the bottle brush.
That wasn't
with
true.
The sponge on the top, the twisted little sponge, and then the bristles on the side.
Save it.
When we were in Midtown Atlanta, we liked to take people out to Crescent Avenue because we were right at the top of Crescent. You just had to walk across.
You were on 13th Street.
Yeah, we were on 13th Street. So you just had to walk across Peachtree down to Crescent where the club Opera was. And we would stand outside of Opera and watch the people who were coming in and out of that place. Because it was really fun to play like opera bingo, which was like a girl crying on the curb with like another girlfriend consoling her. There would be ones where you have a girl that's dressed up really nice, and her date that she's with is dressed down really, like he's wearing, khaki shorts with lots of pockets, and he was doing a polo or something. Like he's not dressed up like she is. When a cab would come by and dudes would come out, if you could smell their cologne coming out of the cab with them, that was a bingo. We did a lot of stuff like that, and we would just walk around the park.
So yeah, so that was the thing. You had things around.
Yeah, we had things to do, and we could walk places. We could walk to like the Vortex, and we could, go down to Little 5 Points and show them that. There were more things, I think, in Atlanta to show than there are here.
And that would be my biggest fear if I came to visit, that you would feel this pressure to show off. I've got to come up with things to do. I don't want him to be bored, even though he likes to sit around and do nothing with his life. That would be fine. And I would never want such a thing. I would never. There'd be such guilt.
Yeah. I think it would be something, if you have a friend and they're going to stay with you, you would have to talk, you'd have to communicate about what your expectations are, right?
Yeah, I guess so. People don't seem to communicate those things, though. Maybe they do. It just seems like something that's, I'm going to come visit you, or you offer the invitation, come on over, stay with me for a few days, and then that's it. Nobody really talks about what, the way you're supposed to conduct yourself.
Right, because then what if I think that I have to plan every minute for you, and you're like, ugh, I don't want to do anything. I just want to lay around.
Yeah, then there's pressure both ways. You did this stuff because you felt like you had to, then the other person feels like they have to go do the things because you put in the effort to do it.
Right.
It's very convoluted very quickly.
I think as a guest and as a host, you can't expect too much. Right? You can't expect for the guest to adhere to all the plans that you've made. I think as a good host would be someone who has a plan at the ready.
Yes,
so
it's there.
like if
a contingency plan.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, well, this is here if we need something to do.
Right. I feel like also a host would have dinner plans for every night.
Oh, that's the one thing I wouldn't want to do.
Yeah.
Dinner plan. We didn't.
Not like going out to eat, but just.
No, in general. And sure, if someone's staying with you, you should, I wouldn't be offended someone didn't have meals for me, but I think that there's something to be said in the tradition of hosting people. It's like, I've got the meals ready. That was the one thing with your visit that I felt guilty over, is that we did not really eat. Because I do not eat often, and I think you've seen that.
Yeah.
And I don't even think about it, because I get hungry at some point, but I can go long stretches without eating. Mm-hmm. And I realized hanging out with you, I wasn't offering up any food options, and you weren't eating, and I felt like you were at my mercy on that. So you want to get some food? You want something? I tried.
Yeah. No, I think that first day we just had that bagel, which was big, and it was good.
Well, here's what we ate. Pizza, first night, bagel.
Yeah.
Was there
pastries? I had some pastries.
Was there any dinner? Well, no.
Yeah, we had middle of the night dinner.
Oh yeah, we did. We ordered some food late night.
Yeah. That's New York.
And then a bodega sandwich.
Oh yeah, see? That was good.
Yeah, that's fine. That's how I would actually normally eat. But, in New York, there's restaurants and, world class and all the cuisines, and I want to taste all the foods. I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
I just am not. I don't care about eating that much. And maybe it's because I have a basic palate. Whatever the reasons, it's not worth it to me to go out and pay a lot of money for a little bit of food that may taste good. Because ultimately, and then this has been brought up so many times before, it just comes out. That's poop. No matter what it is. Like, all right, there it is. It serves a function. And I'm not dismissing people who find pleasure in eating. Mm-hmm. If you want to sit there and you can really get into it and you're into the science behind cooking, or even just, different taste, palate, and I don't even know how to speak about it properly.
Okay.
I don't know how to speak about it properly.
Flavor profiles?
Yes, that's exactly what I was trying to come up with. Okay. Flavor profiles. Yeah, sure. Great, you're into it. Like some people are into wine, or some people are into stamps. But it doesn't seem to hold the it's more widespread than that. I think people feel like they need to show off restaurants if people come over, and
That's only if you're into that, though. Like I would never expect for you to recommend like these great places to go because you're not so into it. So it's fine.
Yeah, get that Boar's Head deli sandwich. That's a good one.
Yeah, the Boar's Head.
Get that chopped cheese.
Yeah, I'd never heard of a chopped cheese. Anyway, so you feel like that's if you had someone over and you were the host and they were only relying on you, do you think that you would think about plans and food for them?
No, I would do exactly what we did when you were here. I'd like to give unofficial tours, little unofficial tours of New York. We don't set out to do that, but when we're doing things and we're out, like I was telling you about the oldest subway trains in operation, the C train came into the station. Like, hey, this is one of my favorites. This is the oldest one that's still in operation. I just know stupid things like this because I really enjoy living here. Uh-huh. Like, I really like it. And then I share that, and people seem to enjoy that. Mm-hmm. And
No, it's cool.
I realized how much I know. We were in the West Village once with my friend Kara and her husband Kelly. They were in town, and I hung out with them. And we were walking past Village Cigars, and out in front of Village Cigars, there's a small triangle, a plaque in the sidewalk, a very small triangle. And it says something along the lines how it's the smallest piece of private property in New York, and visitors aren't welcome. And it was, they made the subway line a long time ago going up 7th Avenue. And some properties got cut off because they widened the avenue. They put 7th Avenue in the subway, and people lost their property. And through the repurpose or the redrawing of the land and the property lines, someone got stuck with that little triangle, and they were very angry about it. And they never wanted to sell it back to the city, though. And the plaque's still there, and I know that's there, and I have the little story behind it. And so, yeah, those are the things I like to do.
I like that. That's cool. Those are cool little tidbits, little nuggets of interesting information.
If I lived somewhere else, I don't think I would be a good host. I don't know. I don't, because, again, your options of entertainment are limited other than company, and I'm happy to do that too. Like, it's nice to just hang out with people and talk. Mm-hmm. And
I feel that way too, and then I feel kind of guilty, like we should be going out and doing things. But really, what's the point? Am I visiting the place or am I visiting the person?
The person, right? Well,
right.
It could be both.
Yeah.
When you were just here, you were visiting me, but you were also visiting the place because we were going to Broadway.
Right.
So there were two things. But yeah, a lot of the times it's the person that you're going to visit. I think of it this way. When you're in Atlanta, I'm in Atlanta. We both have lived in Atlanta. Neither of us lives there now. So therefore, there's no need to really entertain. We're both there, and we just hang out.
Right.
We just hang out normally.
Right.
And that dynamic changes. So again, I think it does go back to just talking about the person, about what you're supposed to be doing. It's like, what do you want to do? And I don't know. Because nobody wants to.
That's the part where, okay, you have to have the backup plan. Because if the person says, I don't know, then you can't be like, okay, I don't know either. I don't know what to do. You know, you have to be like, okay, well, what if we do this and that? Because them saying I don't know really is like, I don't live here. I don't know where to go. I don't know what's important to see, what is worth seeing.
That's
so
true.
I need you to guide me, you know?
And it could also be, and I don't want to make you do things that you don't want to do, but if you offer them up, then I don't.
Yeah.
When talking about this, nobody wants to go that deep. I think it's where the I don't knows come out. People do have ideas of things that they want to do, but they don't want to. I just
ask for them.
Yeah. Just say that.
Yeah.
I'm coming to visit. We don't have to do much. It'd be nice just to hang out. Oh, but I'd like to show you this. Okay, we can do that, but don't feel like you have to do more. Okay, well, good, because I didn't really want to do more. Great. I'm not offended by that. Thank you.
Me neither. Great.
Yeah, the end. It's not that difficult.
No, it's not.
And knowing when to leave, I think, is important too. I don't know.
Yes.
3 days seems to be all right.
Yeah. 3 days is perfect. When we have stayed with Travis's parents before, especially when it was just Travis and I, and really even after we had Ellie, the house was Travis's mom and dad, Travis's brother, and his other brother.
All in the same house.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It was a lot. It was a lot. And then we were there for like 9 days sometimes because you want to make the trip worth it. But then at some point, the people in the house are just living their lives. And you're kind of in the way, you know, because it's like, well, you wonder what's going on or where people are or when things are happening, when they like don't want to deal with you anymore because you've invaded their space and it's time to go. So it's a little bit easier now because both the brothers have moved out. So now it's like just the parents and then us. And then when now we have Ellie and Pete, it's been a lot easier that the house is more empty, even though we miss seeing them. I mean, but actually it's even better because the fact that the brothers are gone means that you have a specific time that you see them. And so instead of it just being like, we're just around, you know, and then when the brothers go out to see their friends or something at night, we're like, why didn't they stay and hang out with us?
Oh, offended.
Yeah, because you think, because it is not discussed. There is no discussion. We're just coming, you know, and Travis and his mom will talk about things, but the brothers don't ever talk about what any expectations or anything. So then they just leave And so we feel like, where are you going? Don't you want to see us? I'm like, oh, yeah. I'll be back later, blah, blah, blah. But because we're just available, we're just there at the house. It's not as directed sort of contacts. Whereas now that they're gone, we make schedules and we can see them and we'll be there then and they'll be there then and then we'll see each other. It's a lot easier now.
When I do like the idea that when someone's leaving, finally, and maybe this is, I guess if you're going to stay with someone, you probably do set the amount of time you're going to be there. But in my mind, I have this idea that the person who's hosting is ready for the person who's staying to leave, and the person who's leaving says, all right, I'm going to leave. But then the host who's ready for that person to leave says, no, no, stay another day. And like just this false, flat out pleasantry that if the person...
Oh, it was so nice having you.
Yeah, if the person says, okay, I will stay another day.
Oh, actually, I'm working the rest of this week. That'll be tough.
That makes me think of a time that couch surfing. Do you remember couch surfing? I think we talked about this maybe on the Airbnb hotels, but when I trashed Airbnb, because Airbnb pretends there's this sharing culture. But how couch surfing was the real sharing culture when you would offer up your couch for people traveling cheap, and probably a dangerous thing ultimately because there were no kind of checks of any sort. So you verified your account by sending a picture of your license or something, I guess.
People didn't have ratings?
There were ratings, and you would leave ratings, but it was still really...
This guy stole my watch.
The platform didn't have much to do in vetting people.
Okay.
But there was a time that I offered up my couch for a few people. I had just moved to New York, and there was a girl from France, and she came over, and she stayed for 2 nights, and then did ask if she could stay a third night. And I was like, well, I gotta, tomorrow, I gotta be up really early, and you're probably gonna... And I don't know where she went. It was kind of a crappy thing, but it wasn't, we had set something up. It was 2 nights, and I want to know more of it.
And you had the next day free, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but you had to make something up.
Yeah, I just lied. And it wasn't a very good lie.
Was she going to pay for the third day?
No, they don't pay. That was a thing you offered. You offered up your home for people.
Oh. What's the point? Just to make friends?
Yeah, that was the point. Well, a lot of guys would look for single female travelers and use that as an opportunity to try to get laid. Yeah. That was a big thing.
I'm going to sleep great.
Yeah, that's when I say the safety issues. I don't know. I mean, maybe most people are good, and even the guys with those intentions, I don't think most of them probably wouldn't push it if the opportunity wasn't reciprocated. But right. I think a lot of them would get to the point where, and maybe the traveler wanted the same thing. I always put it on the guys. Bless you. That was a silent sneeze. I
muted.
Oh, you muted. Wow. What a silent. You're not supposed to hold in your sneezes like the sound, by the way.
Really?
You let them go. Yeah, I don't know why. Some vessels or something will burst.
Oh, I have only learned to do it since the kids were born, because sometimes, they're sleeping on you and you need to sneeze and you don't want to wake them up.
Oh. But anyway, that thing was, supposedly to meet new people, which I thought at some point in my life I was in. It's not that I'm not interested in meeting new people, but that's too much. That was too much to handle. But
you are not the type of person who's going to make friends with the stranger who's staying with you.
No, I thought that I wanted to be. Because I think there's a lot of worth in meeting new people. I think that meeting new people and talking to new people is where you learn new things, and opens up your perspectives on things sometimes too. And I still meet people in the way I need to meet people. But
so when she was staying on your couch, would she be gone during the day? Would you guys have common time together where you're sitting and watching things? Did she speak a lot of English?
She spoke English. That was one of the things. Now I know, I let people, I told you, stay at my place if I leave. That's people I know. This was, I'm leaving, I gotta go, so I'll be back at this time. And then so she would go out and do her day. We hung out a few times, and then they ended up buying you dinner or something because you were hosting them. That was the transaction. Unless you were a guy who, that's not a good enough transaction. Give me that sex. Give me that sex.
I'm going to need a hand.
That's another thing. If you do travel, I guess. I haven't really dealt with it because when I do travel, and if I've ever traveled with a girlfriend to visit people, we don't stay in any house, but, wanting to have sex with the person you're with in someone else's home.
Yeah.
It's fine. No one ever talks about that one. I don't know what people think. Are people naive? They know that if someone's coming to stay and they're both staying in the same room, and they're probably, I mean, I guess it depends on how old. I don't feel like my 60-something-year-old aunt and uncle, when they stay with my parents, are having sex in the room down the hall anymore. But, at some point, especially with parents and, a new boyfriend comes home with the daughter, or, newlywed or something, they've got
Yeah. Yeah. Trav and I did it once at his parents' house. I think just once, though.
You have to sneak around still, even though you're adults. It's like, oh, it's my parents.
Yeah.
My parents are down the hall. Don't want to make too much noise. It is embarrassing. Now, you know what? I guess, the parents dealt with when I was old enough to know that they were having sex if I had heard them.
Did you ever hear them?
You have to sneak around. No. I never heard them.
Yeah.
Guess they were good at it. They mastered it. They only had sex 3 times on them. Each time got pregnant.
Yep. Wow, lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like being a guest to a stranger is different. I would act very differently to a guest who's a stranger. Like if I had a shared room Airbnb type of thing.
Yeah.
I would hope that they didn't hang out.
And a lot of them like to hang out.
Yeah.
That's as opposed to couch surfing, that's a paid transaction. It's like, I'm staying here. I don't need to hang out with you. But you should talk about that too, because a lot of people do go in, and the reason they pick the shared house is because they want to hang out with the person.
Right.
Or they want a person to show them around. So it's worth, asking.
I would want them to treat it like a cruise ship, where it's like, this place is just a place for you to land. This is not a place to hang out. This is my house. You got to get out of here.
I couldn't do it. I could never. You and Travis did that when you came to New York last time. Yeah,
he was the kind of person that was gone most of the day, because I think he was in school and he worked.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, and he was really cool. Like, he stayed in his room if he was there, and he let us stay an extra day for free. We didn't ask. We had plans to leave, and we told him, like, yeah, our plan, this is the thing. I don't know if I really want to do this. And he was like, why don't you just stay here for the next day? I don't have anybody coming. I won't charge you. But, oh, guys, he was really, really cool. But yeah, I would be nervous that I'd get an Airbnb person who was like too talkative, wanted to really talk to me. Like, I want to have a very superficial relationship with this person.
And some of them get into it for that reason. Yes, they like the extra money, but they also like the fact that there can be people around.
Yeah.
Some people enjoy entertaining. It was, just...
I enjoy entertaining my friends. Not strangers.
Well, with the couch surfing thing, too, just to wrap that up, I would never, ever, ever, I couldn't even imagine going to someone else's place and just staying there as a stranger.
Yeah.
I'm uncomfortable in, like, a new girlfriend's home for quite a while. It's like, I won't open the refrigerator, and I don't want to touch things. This is your place, and I don't want to do any of that. And then the other thing with the couch surfing, once I had a girl and a guy come over, and I thought they were together. I was like, oh, this is a boyfriend and girlfriend. They can stay at a futon out in the living room at the time. This is when I first moved to New York and had a pretty big apartment in Bushwick, Brooklyn. And it turns out, no, like, he was in love with her. And they knew each other. It was very strange, but then I was caught in this odd dynamic of these people who he wanted to be with her and she wanted to do nothing with him. And then we hit it off. And at some point she did. Actually, last night she slept in my room. But because I'm so aware of the fact that, I was like, I'm the guy who's hosting someone, so I'm not going to have sex with you. Just the classic MO when it comes to me. What? Why are you shocked by this?
Because how did you get her in your room?
I didn't even try to, because we hung out for a few days and we actually hit it off. We liked each other. Just for that. But then the guy gave me the longest, dirtiest stare that you could imagine, and he's out there in the kitchen.
She spent the night in your room?
Yeah, and there's the knife set is out there, the kitchen knife set. I don't have a hunting knife set.
The knife set.
But it's like, the knife set's out there.
My hunting knife display is out there.
And I was really worried that he come kick the door in because he was in love with her. And when they first came, I set up the futon for 2 people. Like, oh, no, we're not sleeping together. And he seemed to be taken aback by that. Like, he had a different idea.
Right, so he's like, this is my chance. We'll sleep together in this futon.
So then he slept on that oversized chair I mentioned earlier in the show. And, we hung out a few days. That was nothing. They didn't arrive until like 3 a.m. And what should we do? We want to go do something. And I like took them on a walk across the Williamsburg Bridge. There's just so much stuff to do in New York.
At 3 a.m.?
Yeah. It was like, I was new to New York and I didn't have a job yet. It's like, let's just go do that.
Wow.
But,
I need to know about, how did she just go into your room?
I don't remember the way, probably alcohol was involved. We probably got drunk, so, your inhibitions are lowered a bit. And I think it was probably like, can I stay in there tonight with you? I was like, okay. But
did you guys make out?
Yeah, we did. And then she sent me a letter.
Is she foreign? Was she foreign?
No, she was from...
For some reason, I felt like she was from...
Missouri?
Missouri?
Yeah. She was from Missouri. Laura,
funny.
you want to hear her name? It's not her last name, so I don't think anyone can find her. But her actual name was not first and middle name. Her name was Laura Lou, right from straight out of Missouri.
Wow.
But she...
Laura Lou from Kalamazoo.
She was... It was fine, but that was the end of that. Because I was convinced I was going to be murdered.
Did she smell like hay? I feel like she would smell like hay.
Oh, come on. Now you're just making nasty stereotypes. There wasn't even an accent.
Well, did she try to have sex?
No. I think that dynamic still kind of lends itself to maybe the guy initiates, and then I didn't.
Yeah. Well, let's just go to bed. We hit first base. That's all we're getting.
I do this
the
all the time.
The coach is not calling you to third.
I was okay, here's another example of me being a guest.
Okay.
When I went to Ireland in 2011 for like a radio junket where, what's the whiskey? Jameson.
Uh-huh.
Jameson flies all these radio stations out St. Patrick's Day, and they put them up and, feed them. And so there are costs involved, but then everyone goes and broadcasts from the Jameson distillery, and they get all this free promotion across the United States because they've got stations from all over. So one night we went out, my friend and I, and we went to this bar that had this weird dance floor, and I don't really like to dance at all, so he went out there, and I just sat there at the bar, and this Irish girl came up with her friends, and we talked, and then I bought her a drink, and then she just grabbed me and started kissing me.
Uh-huh.
I was like, wow, that's very forward. And then she'd come back tonight, and so I went back with her and her sister and her friend. They all lived together in this house. God knows where outside of Dublin. I don't even remember getting there. I remember getting in the car. I didn't drive, and because the driver sits on the other side, it just was really screwing with me because I was in the passenger seat up front. But that's what I remember. And then we get there, and they made French fries with mayonnaise.
Ooh, yeah.
that's when we hate this late night snack. And then by this point, it's like 4:30 in the morning, and I forget her name, but she has to get up at 6:30, and then for some reason she trades rooms with her sister, and she's like, we're going to stay in my sister's room tonight. And I went in there, and we made out more, but I was like, it's going to be, you leave in like 2.5 hours. I'm not just going to have sex with you. So I did it again. I just shut it down. This time the person hosted me and fed me chips with...
Yep, she gave you chips, and then she wanted your...
Well, it didn't happen. I'm not into that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was a bad guest, I think, at that point, because the only reason...
you didn't have sex with her?
The only reason
I'm under obligation to fuck you now. You made me chips.
Yeah, you gave me a ride here, and then I got put on a bus the next morning. Like, this is the bus that'll get you back to Dublin. And it was like, okay.
Why'd she have to get up? She was up at until 4:30.
I think she had something to do with kids too. So she's going in hungover. Oh my
god, this person is troubled.
she was troubled. Yeah, that's the way to sum it up. But yeah, bad guest.
Yeah, you were a bad guest.
I should have said no. I knew what was going to happen, right? I knew.
I was going to say you should have had sex with her.
I didn't like the way it came together. I'm in a foreign country, and what if there's some kind of claim? And I'm not getting into any of that.
Well, I've said it before, like, the having sex part is sometimes, like, the worst part. All the stuff before it is more fun.
It is.
Yeah.
With the person you don't know.
Yeah. Well, especially for women. Like, this stranger that I'm going to have sex with does not know what to do with me.
No clue.
Yeah.
And so they'll just do what they want with themselves using you. Like, oh, yeah, done.
Massive.
It's ultimately what
just masturbate with my body is basically what you do on a unless you're just like really good at orgasming.
I realize that's the thing. I really have turned down sex in my life, and I know it's a little bit off topic, but I can tie it back in because there's a third instance where I was at someone's place and I tried. It's only when it's drunk. And if you're going to have a one-night stand, it's usually drunk. And that's why I turn down one-night stands. I don't like having drunk sex for the most part. If you know the person, then it can be fun. Like if you're in a relationship and you already understand. But because it's just awkward pounding and hitting parts of the bodies that shouldn't be hitting each other because one person's
You're not at your best.
No. And if it's the only night and the only chance you have, I want to be at my best. Right. I don't want to, and I guess you could ask people, again, this goes back to that same thing about being a guest and ask, maybe you're drunk and maybe it's weird, maybe people don't want to talk about, what do you like, what do you want me to do, and maybe just wanted to be quick.
Just do it.
But there was a time I was in London visiting my friend Lee and his roommate. We got along. And then, we all went out drinking one night, and I got back, and I had a separate room in that apartment, that flat, because one of the roommates was out of town, so I got to stay in there. And then she came down, knocked on the door, she said, come up to my room. I was like, okay. And then I didn't have sex with her. Because it's like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
But again, maybe I'm a bad guest, but that's also, I'm a guest, and then, if it's awful, I'm still there for 3 more nights.
Yeah.
I'm not going down that road.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
That she did say, is like, that was your only chance. I said, okay. I said, okay.
What, the next day?
Yeah. Well, next morning, because I woke up in there, and it's like, it was your only chance, so you know. I was like, all right, that's fine. See, maybe I made the right choice.
Yeah. Wow.
Ask if you're going to be a guest, ask if the host wants to have sex with you. Just communicate.
Just to make sure. Just lay it on the table. I was a guest at an empty apartment. It was that party where you and I went to that party, and then I stayed back. You left, and I stayed.
Oh, when you say empty apartment, you mean an apartment with no furniture?
Yeah.
It was. Sorry. I was thinking of just an abandoned apartment.
No. It was they were celebrating that guy's apartment, like he had gotten an apartment, but he had no furniture. He hadn't moved in yet.
Yeah, I remember that. Wasn't that near Lenox?
Yes, it was near Lenox Mall, and you left. You're like, you're going to be okay? I was like, yeah, fine. And so like your friend was still there, and he and I ended up, whatever.
Yeah, I know. I thought about that the other day.
Oh, you did?
How you hooked up with him.
Well, what are you going to do? So we were kind of hooking up, and the host of the party, whose party it was, he found us in the room and started to lay down near us and was like going to try and make out with me. He was a bad host.
Wait, so you're hooking up with my friend, and then the guy who lived there, who was hosting everyone, tried to make out with you.
Yeah, I don't know whether I don't think he knew that anything else was going down in there. I think he was just super duper drunk, and he found like a warm body who was female. Just like I'm going to try this.
You can't even see at that point, like a blind person walking around and feeling boobs.
Yeah,
good, great.
No, he didn't touch me. I didn't let it get that far.
There was a time that same person you're talking about that you hooked up with.
Yeah.
I went to visit him. This was still when we were in college. Mm-hmm. And so he had a dorm room, but his roommate was out. So we were bunk beds. And I drove up there with his girlfriend because she didn't live close to the school. I think they were dating before freshman year, so they hadn't broken up yet. And we both drove up to the school, and I got on the top bunk. TV was on, and then they started making out on the bottom bunk. And then
him and his girlfriend?
Yeah, he and his girlfriend. Uh-huh. And then as they were going at it, one of them knocked the plug out of the TV, so it turned off, which made them think that I had turned the TV off. So I went to sleep, and then I had to just lie there and listen to them have sex. Yeah, not a good host, huh?
Oh,
Don't have sex in the same room as the person.
Host.
Yeah, draw the line sometimes. So there you go.
I mean, I'm not proud.
You don't have to be not proud. There's nothing to be ashamed about.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing to be proud of either, but it just is.
Yeah.
It just is something. Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be one way or the other. Like, anyone who assigns pride to it's just as crazy as someone who's ashamed by it.
Yeah, sure.
That's
just a time.
That's the one thing I don't like with a lot of guys, because there's such pride. Yeah, bagged her. I was like, okay, great, good for you. Wow, yeah. what a great human you are. Yeah, but then the shame that's assigned to it also. It's like, why? Because you're a woman and you had sex with some guy? one night. You should be
I
ashamed.
knew who
by
he
it.
was.
Sure, but
I did know him, sort of.
did he baby talk you? I hear some other people told me that he once baby talked.
Ooh, no.
Okay, good.
There wasn't a lot of talking.
Well, the person who told me that I don't necessarily believe, so I'm glad.
Oh, okay.
I don't talk to him that often anymore, but sometimes I do.
And then I think I told you about it, and you were like, yeah, he has a girlfriend. It's like, fuck, really?
I feel like I abandoned you a lot. Like, we would hang out, and I would just leave you places.
No, you made sure. You're like, is it okay? You're like, we're leaving. I was like, oh, I might stay. It wasn't like that.
Yeah, okay. I mean,
you were leaving. It wasn't like, I'll stay if you are gonna. It was like, you were telling me you were leaving. So I could have gone with you, or I could have stayed, and I just stayed.
Yeah, and I always trusted you could take care of yourself, so it wasn't like, oh, I don't need me to protect her, so I can't leave. So I guess asking is enough. I was like, I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
Are you all right? But then wasn't there another time I had left you?
Yes, and then I hooked up with somebody else that night.
Yeah, so that's...
Remember? Oh, God, what is this life?
And then the other night when you were here...
I couldn't get into your apartment, because I tried to get back to you. I was staying at your house. And you had left, and I tried to get back to you, but you weren't. It was a gate, and you weren't answering your phone to open the gate, so I couldn't get in.
Why don't you just roll under the gate? That's what I did before. I think you were there. You watched me just roll under the gate. You could have gotten back to the apartment and pounded on the door.
I don't know.
I think because you really wanted to go home with the other guy.
Ugh.
No, but the other night when you were here, when you're going back to your Airbnb and the Uber picked you up.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I said, "You all right?" And you said, "Yes." I said, "All right, good night." And then I
hooked up with that Uber driver.
Yeah, well, man, that would keep the trend going, correct?
Yep.
But I worried. I was like, I don't know. This isn't a city she knows, and I know this city, and I just assume it is relatively safe here compared to other cities. But I just sent you on your way.
If I was walking,
I wouldn't have had you walk alone.
No, that would be totally different. But this was it's through a company.
Yeah. Sometimes those guys are creeps, though. Or he drops you off and you're trying to get into the apartment that you're not sure of how to work the key.
Oh, yeah. No, it was fine.
All right.
Yes, I am a grown-up lady who can hook up with whoever I want.
That's true. Your body is yours.
But yeah, well, those two are good examples, those two times, of like, I would have had just as much fun, just kept on flirting. Like the sex part was not the best part of the evening.
Well, that could be another show, too. Put it in the notebook.
Yeah. What do I
mean, we already had a show talking about sex, but this could be
sex isn't that great.
Yeah. Flirting's more fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Making a note, just like our last week's show, if you haven't listened yet. We read through our notes.
Oh, yeah, this is my note.
This is modern journalism, Autumn, where you tell a story, but you also link back to your previous stories to try to get as many views or listens as possible.
That's right. So go listen to our most downloaded show talking about sex.
All right, well, now that I don't have a job, maybe I should come visit you.
Come on.
I won't have any money to spend.
So. Yeah, that's okay. That'll be perfect, because I don't care about going places, so you could just come and hang out here.
Yeah, I would do that.
And kick our kids around. And
is there an Econo Lodge around? A sleep in? Something nearby? The bed. You're showing me the bed.
It's right there.
You'd have to clean that off.
There's a fox lamp up here, and I knitted a scarf for it, and you could come see that.
What if we split it? Like I could, not the cost, but I mean, like a night there, two, and then one in the other.
No, I get that. Even Michelle, when she came to visit us and we were in the other place, she stayed at a hotel. I get it. It's like, you don't want to have to.
It's nice to have your own
space.
It is nice to have your own space. When I go to.
That's what I considered when I came up to New York. I thought, do I want my own space? And then I was going to change my mind, and so I could spend the money on the train and just stay at your house. But then I couldn't cancel my Airbnb. But yeah, I get it. You want your own. You want to be able to go somewhere and be there and not. I get it.
That's what I do still when I go to Atlanta, which people think is crazy. Why don't you stay with your parents? Stay with your friends? Nah.
Yeah.
Stay at the Highland Inn. I get a good rate there, but even without that rate, I'd still stay there.
Your own space. I get it.
It is nice. You do your own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to feel like a loser when you're doing nothing. I mean, you will, but you don't have to. Yes. You don't have the added pressure of a person looking at you and thinking you're also a loser.
Yeah, you've been in that room all day.
Why haven't you left?
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Yeah, and this way it's just you alone. Why haven't you left this room? I don't know.
I'm gonna walk to Publix again.
That's the definition of going out when the Highland Inn.
Yeah,
I'll go to Publix.
I'm going to go grocery shopping for my 2 days here.
Go straight. I buy spoons every single time because I forget. I should bring a spoon, but that's a weird thing to travel with. But I always get ice cream.
Spoon.
And sometimes, but I don't want a whole pack of plastic spoons. So there's been times I open the pack and I just steal one spoon out of it.
Why don't you just go to the area, the deli thing, and there's like there's plasticware over there.
What?
Yes, like you get the sandwiches and then you can get soups and there's all that, the salads, there's all utensils over there.
I had no clue.
Yeah.
All right.
You can sneak a soda. You can like steal a soda.
Well, thanks for that travel tip.
You're welcome.
Next
episode, travel tips.
Steal the silverware, plasticware from Publix. Don't buy it. A box of those things, 50 is like $2 though. I leave them. Maybe the people in the room use them, in the hotel. Anyway, take us out.
This was a good episode, you guys. Right?
Please give me the affirmation I need. Was this episode good? Respond yes, no, maybe.
Yep, we're waiting for your call. We're callers. We're waiting for you to call. Tell us that we're good. Okay, cut that part out, Greg.
Nope.
Thank you for listening to One Topic. You can find us everywhere podcasts are found. We're on Podbean, Stitcher, I don't know. Where else are we? Spotify.
We're still waiting on that iHeartRadio thing. Maybe we were rejected, but they said they'd tell us if they rejected us.
Oh, okay.
There's been nothing. No update.
If you're not able to find us somewhere, let us know and we'll try and figure out why. And I'm everywhere on social media at AutoPritz, PRITTS.
And that's it. Contact Autumn.
What'd you say?
Contact Autumn.
Yeah, you can contact me if you want to talk to Greg. Also, don't forget to check out hoffandpepper.com for the best hot sauce ever.
Are they paying us? Unbelievable. You didn't even clear this with me.
They will.
You're going to produce. I don't want their money. They can send me a bottle of hot sauce.
Oh, they should. Yes, they should. Because Greg has Frank's in his fridge, which isn't bad. But when you taste this hot sauce, it's amazing. So if you want a discount and get 15% off if you use One Topic 15 at hoffandpepper.com, they have some specials right now for spring where you can get a bunch of different variety pack of sauces for a discounted price, and then you can get the 15% on top of that. So go check it out, hoffandpepper.com. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.